Hello, dear friends, lovely audiences. Welcome to the East-West Show. Jack Chow on the East-West with lots of pride with G&E TV. Once again, in our weekly update, joining me is my good friend, Mr. Ken Hemming, political commentator. In my eye, he's a philosopher. He's a constitutional man. Well, anyway, I agree. I really agree with that. So we're touching base with you about what's happening or what had happened on the major outlines of last week, of the past week, right?
Yes,
so, Ken, welcome to the show.
Thank you, and thank your viewers for allowing me to spend time with them.
Very good. It's our pleasure. Me and my team like you very much. And I believe my audience turn that way too.
I hope so.
And lots of them, when they write to me, they mention your name.
I'm here to give them my love and my brain.
They mention your name. Some will even say the old Ken.
Hey, I'm young,
Yeah.
in spirit.
With a K, not a C.
Yeah, right.
Not a C.
Right.
The old Ken.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Very good.
Just remember I'm breathing, then I'm happy.
Thank you very much. So to you, what is on top of the past week, please?
Well, I do think, I know where your mind is today, what we're going to chat about kind of, but I do think one thing very important happening right now is the French President Macron is on a visit, an official state visit to the United States, the White House, President Trump, and our people. Mm-hmm. And they had...
And there's a big reception there.
Well, there's a state dinner tonight. It's the first state dinner put on by the Trump administration. Quite often, there's quite a few during the normal year for presidents to put those things on. But anyway, it's tonight. And one thing very interesting, like last night, the Macrons and the Trumps had dinner at Mount Vernon, which was George Washington's house. And Melania Trump is taking charge of all of the planning for that and selecting the foods. She's doing the same thing tonight for the state dinner, which means, and it's going to be primarily lamb and then some sort of nice dessert and everything. And her taste and her ability to be a hostess is wonderful, and it saves thousands of dollars of hiring outside professional caterers.
I refuse to go.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't eat lamb.
Yeah, well, I'll eat yours. I'd love to be there.
Well, unless they provide beef,
yeah,
right? I don't eat lamb, which is for sure.
Well, I think that's a good question, because every reasonable dinner should have an option for people.
All options,
because some people don't like lamb.
Of
yes,
course,
that's right.
of course, yeah.
But anyway, it's beautiful, and President Trump has spent a lot of time with Macron. They're very friendly. They have long handshakes, and everybody's laughing at that.
I'm more interested in the fact that who are invited.
Oh, actually, I just found out there are no Democrats invited. There's 13 tables with about 10 people at a table. And the head table is going to be in the middle of all these tables. And unusual compared to past state dinners, the husbands and wives will sit next to each other. Normally, they spread them all out. So it's just a little different approach, and it's going to be interesting. And it's all Republicans or cabinet members that will be
I really
there.
have some hard time understanding. Of course, maybe I'm wrong, though. This is a state dinner, right?
It is.
It is in the name of the United States of America.
That's correct.
Am I right? So when you host a dinner in the name of the United States, though, why didn't you include the Democrats?
Well, we need to look back at prior state dinners, and when Clinton or Obama, I don't know what Republicans were there. However, we have the Democratic members of the Congress and Senate are so really obstructionist and hateful for this president that it would probably take away from some of the joy of conversation and camaraderie. And so it probably just makes sense, because say if I have a dinner with you and all the people I know like you, and I invite some people that hate me, and then they're at another table. I know nowadays.
It's
terrible.
Nowadays we all talk about the political right, being politically right?
Well, and I never do that.
I know. Now, I do not 100% agree to the politically right thing.
Yeah, political
but
correctness.
this part, only this particular part with this to the particular point, do you think would be more politically right if some Democrats are invited.
Well, maybe the Democrats are serving the dinners in the staff. Who knows? But in other words, there's some. But no,
Or
you don't do something.
Democrats are in the kitchen preparing the food?
I'm just kidding. Yeah, but you don't do. Yeah, right. But you don't do something just to kiss up, okay? I mean, you want to have your state dinner that you're the host. You want to be surrounded by supporters and friends.
Yeah, of
Why,
course.
yeah. I mean, to really let.
But you're the host.
Nobody voted for the tax cut. Not one Democrat.
You're the host of the dinner.
Right.
And you are also the host of the United States.
I know.
Right?
Yep.
So when you host a dinner in name of United States of America, though, you'd better include Democrats.
Well, okay, but why do you include people, Democrat or Republican, that hate you? I'm sure all the Republicans aren't invited. There's only 130 people going to be there, Jack.
I know.
So there's probably only 80 people in Congress or the Senate. They're not all invited at all. And we've got, 260 or something in the, in the House.
It could be a different thing. Could be a different thing. Totally a different story if it is called a private dinner. Donald Trump's private dinner.
Well, it's not a public dinner. As a matter of fact, no media are allowed to be in the room either, and there's no televising of it.
All right.
So
in that case, it does sound a private dinner.
Yeah, it is.
It does sound a private dinner. So to name it as a state dinner is wrong.
Well, it's what they called it. So if it's wrong,
and then either they contradict themselves, or the dinner is wrong.
Well, I support it.
You get my point, right? You get my point.
I get your point.
I do not necessarily disagree with your ideology. I'm thinking about in this particular event, at this particular point, though, you're talking about either you call it a private dinner or you call it a state dinner, however, to include different parties.
Well, state dinners don't automatically include the media and people are invited, specifically invited.
No. Everything you call a state action or state event, though, to apply the freedom of press, freedom of information, the media deserves to be there. They are entitled to be there.
That's not true. They are not entitled to be everywhere. They're not entitled. There are no entitlements.
To be everywhere where the event is called a state action.
Well, okay.
A state event. Either way, the terminology is wrong.
All I know is, by the way, it's also very formal. All the men will be in tuxedos, whatever.
Right.
The women will be spectacular.
Right.
And remember when Obama had a state dinner? There were two people, a man and a woman, a husband and wife, that got their way in there, that were not invited.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Remember that scandal?
They stole in there.
They snuck in there, yeah.
They had
like
the
a
dinner,
stowaway
had all the fun,
they did
and they left.
Yeah, right. That is, I don't think anyone's going to sneak in on Trump.
And they went there in and out undetected.
Right. Including getting on the White House grounds and getting in there.
Yeah,
I mean, it was ridiculous.
Exactly.
They could have been carrying a weapon.
Exactly. Okay. Now, still back to the point, though. I would once again check with you. Do you agree with me on this specific point that the terminology of the event, the definition of the event is wrong? It's not a state dinner. It's a private dinner hosted by the President of the United States in his own name.
Well, I support whatever your opinion is as being honorable to yourself.
All right. Anyway,
I support this dinner as it is constructed.
I support the dinner too.
Yeah.
I support dinner too.
I really, Macron, the president of France, he's pretty much a socialist, okay, and a globalist.
He's a young guy.
And he's 40 years old. His wife's 20 years older than him. She is. She's very attractive.
But they were lovers. They were lovers. They were in love when they were young.
Yes, but she was still 20 years older.
Yeah, I know. But back then, when she was in her probably
40s,
early 30s.
No, he'd be 10 years old.
He was only 13 or 14 years old.
Yeah, but they weren't sweethearts then.
They were through hearts to each other. Anyway.
Yeah, well,
Anyway,
that's
that's their
But
business.
yeah, that's their business.
There's their
Hey, don't
business,
forget
right,
it's
okay.
France.
So what else
Free
is
love.
new? What else is on your
Well,
list?
a very big deal, I believe, is that they announced today, the president announced today that Secretary of Treasury Mnuchin is going within a few days to China to talk about the tariffs and negotiate trade. And Jack, I know you have a lot of knowledge and interest in trade between China and America. We all have a lot of interest in it. You have more knowledge than I do. But so I'm interested in your thoughts on this. But we're going to have a top-level gentleman, Mnuchin, Secretary of our Treasury, over there discussing with top-level Chinese officials. You know, China has said they will back down on some of their tariffs, particularly on cars. They've got 25%. We have 2.5%. Trying to even the battle, the field.
My thought is that in between countries, there is no country that will give up on their tariff.
Well, we don't use them. That's
No,
our
I
problem.
know that. I know.
Right.
Well, no country will totally give up.
Okay.
All right. So you have your tariff, and I have mine. So the two countries always talk about how they balance it.
Well, it's not balanced.
Yeah, I would like to use another word, to borrow another word,
Okay.
which is totally different from this. I call it ecology.
Okay.
Right? You're always talking about ecology, even in the trade situation,
Okay.
in the trade area. Okay, whenever you balance it, you're okay. Right? Now, in between countries, there's always the talk. Balance, unbalance, balance, unbalance. Right now, we're seeing the unbalance, which is not a bad thing. That will be balanced later. Another unbalance will show up, and then will be balanced later.
Well, there's a lot of theory.
There's an ongoing thing.
There's a lot of theory that America has such a strong, vibrant economy that we have demand for goods that are very much in excess of what we have available on our own land.
And
so that can cause this imbalance or the trade deficit. However, I'm willing, as I can only speak for myself as an American, I'm willing to pay more to have a better job for Americans on planet Earth. If we're making more money, then we can afford to pay a little more.
The fact is, we need each other. That's it.
The world does need each other.
Sure. All right. Okay. Let's take a short moment now. When we come back, probably we should pay our attention to the DNC lawsuit.
That'll be fun.
Right. Stay with us. Hello, dear friends, lovely audiences. Welcome back to the show, Jack Chow on the East West, with my dear friend, Mr. Ken Hemming, a book writer and wonderful book writer. Life Simple, 100 Words to Live By is my Bible next to my pillow.
I do love it.
And I do read it. Not read it, I consult it.
Yeah, right, exactly. When you have
I consult it.
Yeah.
When I have, mystifying understanding of words.
Yeah.
So I really come for it because it has both English and Chinese.
It does.
Which is a good book. Thank you for doing that.
Yes, sir.
For having done that. Okay, now, talking about our next subject for this past week, though, that is the Democratic National Convention lawsuit.
Right.
That needs to be talked about. So, what is your take, Cam, on this lawsuit, please?
Well, I need to say to your viewers clearly that I haven't read a good description of it yet, but they're suing President Trump, the Republican National Committee, and whatever kind of a broad suit for colluding to try to steal the election, okay? Actually, then the collusion that we do know did occur between the Democrats and the Russians, but that's another subject. We don't touch that. But the Democrats, the Republican committee has been accumulating a lot of money in donations, way in excess of the Democratic National Committee. And if you remember, when we were getting into the 2016 election, Hillary Clinton loaned $20 million to the Democratic committee so she could control everything they did, in which she did control it all, and absolutely, too, wiped out Bernie, I'm not going to vote for a socialist, but
Bernie Sanders,
yeah, Bernie
yes.
Sanders. But so now, but here's where they're making a mistake, I think. Because if they do that, obviously President Trump and those others named in the lawsuit will countersue. And if they countersue, it could work out to where they could bring in Hillary to testify under oath about some very serious issues. And that would be, I think, very bad for the Democratic Party. And so what I believe is it'll be just thrown out of court because there's no substance or foundation, no proof, no nothing.
What I'm concerned is that if it is good to United States of America as a country.
It's not. It's wasting money and time.
As whether
right.
it does good to a party, that is of less importance.
Yeah.
What is of the first importance is that if this is good to the United States as
the only purpose
country.
of it is to try to keep attention away from the tremendous successes economically and in strength and militarily and whatever that the president is accomplishing. They don't want people to hear about good things. They don't actually want people to hear about good things, and
Would
they root against
America. Would the
America.
case stand? Would the lawsuit stand? Was that accepted?
I doubt it. No, I
Was
doubt
that accepted by court?
it.
Right?
Only just happened this week.
All right. And the court has accepted?
Nothing's happened yet.
And
no.
nothing is happening yet.
Nothing,
right?
just noise.
The court might reject it.
It may well be rejected.
Why might be rejected?
Because there's
right?
no substance
Because there's
to it.
Either you don't do it, or when we do it, though, you need a solid evidence.
Yes, and there is none. There really isn't. Yeah.
Unless they do have the solid evidence.
They don't.
Well, who knows? They might have.
Well, they've been looking for Trump
They might
collusion
have,
with the Russians for 2 years, and there's none.
They
So
might
it's just-
have. They might have.
All they
yes.
have, Jack, of course, this isn't real, I mean, you might not like it, but primarily they have hate of this president, and they'd probably be willing to give up their own children if they could get him out of the presidency.
No.
I think they would.
I don't agree with your comment to that extent.
I know, it's pretty extreme.
To political dispute, we can open discussion at all times.
But it's not a political dispute. It's true hatred and an inability to accept that Trump won the election. And
I would say unless they have solid evidence, otherwise they will not do it in a lawsuit format.
Yes, they would. It's just to divert
The
attention.
lawsuit format, I believe many of them are lawyers themselves, right?
All lawyers aren't smart.
Yes, of course. The lawsuit format indicates that they might have something solid on hand.
Okay. Well, I bet my life they don't. My
Well,
whole
anyway.
life. But anyway, so
Well,
we'll find out. But so I'll keep watching the
I
development.
do agree with
It's going to
you.
develop slowly.
I do agree with you, however, of the concern, of the worry,
Mm-hmm.
of the trepidation about where it will be leading. Right? You're talking about counter lawsuit, right?
Oh, that.
If the Republicans counters, and then there are going to be two parties sue each other, who is going to take care of the day-to-day business of United
Well,
States
there's enough-
of America?
No, I really like what you just said, and I agree exactly with what you just said. But President Trump's not going to spend a lot of his own personal time to play with that. They've got their people, just like you've got your people.
No. Assuming the whole team, they have a whole team with an extra hand that can take care of that, though. Should they have the time to deal with the lawsuit, though, they have many other issues to be dealt with.
It will be a waste of time, yes.
Well, of course. Waste of time, waste of efforts.
And that's the intention.
Waste of money.
And that's the intention of the Democratic Party suit, to waste time, waste money, and defer attention from successes currently occurring.
I don't get it. Why do they do that?
It's just hate. I don't know why they can't work with President Trump. All of these people in Congress and Senate, whatever, should want what's good for the people of America. The people of America aren't Democrats and Republicans; they're citizens, and support.
On the other hand,
failure by this president.
On the other hand, remember, during the election, especially towards the end of election, while winning or almost winning, Donald Trump vowed that he will put Hillary Clinton in jail. Remember?
Oh, well, his fans did. Lock her up, lock her up. Well, but as we talked about last week, 13 minutes in a row, Comey described felony after felony
Yeah,
after
you're
felony,
right, yeah.
and then he said, "Oh, but she's fine. We're not going to do anything."
All of a sudden,
all of a sudden.
yeah.
So, you know, the story's not over yet. We don't know what's going to happen, but the story's not over. And that
So,
Clinton Foundation.
is there any action on Donald Trump's side or his administration side to sue them, to sue her?
Oh, President Trump in the Republican committee has said that, well, if they do this, you know, we'll countersue, and it could. I mean, if you get Hillary back in there under oath, which she's named as a suer, and then she'll be a suee, we'd go after her. It would just sort of be a waste of time.
I would have to give you an example, and also I'm giving the example to my audiences for your own evaluation.
Yes, sir.
I'm talking about the city of San Gabriel.
Yes.
Right.
Good.
When
Love it.
the current council member Chin Ho Liao
Okay.
was elected, right? On the inauguration day, they did not even give him a seat.
Okay, that sounds
They
nice.
did not even provide him a name card, a name badge, or whatsoever. He was almost nothing, as if he was never
ignored.
elected.
Okay.
Ignored, right? For that, of course, it took some efforts, took lots of efforts, lots of media involvement to have brought it to the public.
Attention, yeah.
Until then, there was nothing, there was no attention to him. He was just totally ignored. Right? So, of course, he was installed later on. The quote-unquote mistake was corrected later on, right? Okay, then, that was the exact point.
Terrible.
Lots of people, including attorneys, approached to Chin Ho Liao,
Yeah.
say, you deserve a case.
Yeah, right.
And you have a case, you have a strong case.
For sure,
Right?
yeah.
You know what Chin Ho Liao says?
Well, I have a feeling he's a great guy, and he said it's not worth that effort. I don't want to disrupt our city.
Exactly.
And I love
He
him.
says,
I haven't
it
met
is a
him.
moment, it is a moment the city
sanity.
needs solidarity.
Right, right.
The city
I respect him.
needs respect as a city.
Yeah.
Right? The city, even though split a little bit,
Yeah.
now needs unification. He says, if I went on to a lawsuit, though, that will split the city even more.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay. If I win, I still have the seat.
And he's not going to get
If
rich
I
and
lose,
that-
I have the seat.
Right.
What difference would that make?
Right. Just move on, say thank
Just
you.
move on, say thank you.
Yeah.
And he did say thank you very much, and I will not do lawsuit to the city.
Yeah.
And I'll continue acting as a city council member,
Well,
doing my job.
He's a man of reason.
And for
a man
that,
of dignity.
he is supported even more.
Oh, absolutely.
He is loved even more.
Absolutely.
His seat is even solid even
Right.
more.
More secure, yeah.
So I am using this example to apply to the situation. We take United States of America as if it were city of San Gabriel.
Right.
Right?
I agree.
Right? Would our great leaders treat our country as one block, as one firm,
Well, they should.
as one unity that
Yeah.
we all benefit from,
They should.
right?
And so this suit should never even be filed by the
I'm
Democratic Party.
not necessarily taking sides on this thing
No,
of the
that's fine.
lawsuit. I'm just using Chin He Liao's example
A perfect one.
to indicate how wrong we have been, how wrong we are, and how dangerous this is.
And how to handle it with dignity instead of with anger and hatred.
And you know what exactly, to that moment of that inauguration night, it was almost an insult, almost a slap on the face to Chin He Liao.
Well, they did. Yeah.
Everybody was there. He had no seat, no position, no name card, no mention,
And he
no
was
nothing.
declared the winner of the election. Insanity. That's terrible.
No nothing,
Right.
right? So the guy, Chin He Liao, stood that. And he stood tall.
Yeah.
and stood like a man and responsible to the city as called St. Gabriel.
I would have liked to have been there to see that.
Right. My dear audience, lovely audience, today we're talking about American politics again in our weekly update. We're talking about now the subject being the subsubject.
Correct.
Being,
local politics.
Yeah. Being the lawsuit of DNC versus Donald Trump as president
In his
of the United States.
administration,
My whole point, I said clear already, I'm not necessarily taking sides of the lawsuit. I'm talking about, is it quite necessary?
Quite not necessary.
All right, good. Let's take a short moment out. We come back, we move on to another subject. Stay with us, please. Hello, my dear audience and lovely audiences. Ladies and gentlemen, my dear fellow Americans, if you are a responsible American, you probably would really like to hear from us, hear from a discussion about our weekly update with me. My good friend Ken Haming is a very solid constitutional man. He does have a good stand, who, even though I argue with a lot of time, if not all the time, I respect a lot.
And I love it.
Right? I respectfully argue with him. How about that?
I love it.
Only to make points clear.
Right. Well, it helps clarify all sides of a discussion.
Sure.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
and it's very contributing
Just
to
now, like the
understanding.
dinner thing,
Right.
like the banquet thing, right?
Right.
Either the
You
name,
had a very nice point.
either the name is wrong or the arrangement is wrong, right? There's something wrong. Anyway, now, what's your next?
Well, no, and I want to share with your viewers that, I never say something out of my mouth that I do not have a feeling for the truth, that I believe it's the truth. But sometimes, I hear things, and this is what I'll share right now. I just heard this morning that Bernie Sanders, a socialist, but it was in the Democratic Party before, and now he's back as an independent socialist, is going to propose a program that would give everybody in America a job, of an age and ability to do something, a job in the government, for the government, at $15 an hour plus certain benefits. Now, I have been a CPA for my entire life. I know a dime and a nickel and a quarter. I know those things, and I know what's impossible to finance and fund. So that dream statement that he is saying, we couldn't print money fast enough to make that happen. So, but again, when you keep promising, and it all gets elevated and given some credibility by the radical leftist press, then people say, well, okay, well, why don't I vote for that? Then I can
As
get
a matter
job.
of fact, it was not this morning. It was a day ago.
Okay.
He was on the news already.
Yeah, okay.
Talking about his possible election.
Yeah.
Right. Another run. And also talking about his proposal or thought or funny thought
Yes, sir.
of providing everybody over 18 a job.
Yeah.
A governmental job.
Right.
That pays $15 per hour. Okay, now, well, of course, he might wish so well. He might wish so well out of his own mind, though. Realistically, I have to ask you, for a job, you have to have an employee, right?
Yes, and a boss. Yeah.
And a boss.
Right.
Who be the boss?
The government will
The
control
government.
you, period.
The government.
You're subject to the government. That's what they want.
Okay, where does the money come from? Unless the money grow on trees,
Right.
otherwise you can, of course, you can print the money.
If you took all the money that the top 1 or 2% of people that are the wealthiest people in America, if you took it all from them, and put it in a pile, there wouldn't be enough to keep that going for 2 weeks. There's just not enough money laying around, and you can't print it at the mint fast enough. So it's an impossible economic concept, and as we look around the world, Jack, and including in some of our cities where there's some sort of socialist leadership, okay, in primarily Venezuela right now, the economic program for socialism cannot sustain itself on a long-term basis. So you always run out of food or money or whatever it is, and inflation gets rampant, and then there's riots, and then there's everything. And so it just can't work. But America is losing. Well, there's a war against capitalism where you take care of yourself, I'll take care of myself. I love that, okay?
By logic,
Yeah.
I'm not a CPA.
Doesn't matter.
I'm not receiving any education for
financial
for
training.
that background,
Yeah,
though.
right.
However, to my most down-to-earth understanding,
Common sense.
a job has to be offered because there are vacancies.
That's right.
And then a job position is offered, right?
Well, yeah.
All of a sudden,
Good.
where are we going to get that kind of a vacancies?
Well, the thing is, they would have a job with no work to do. If that's an insanity, because there's not enough work to do. There has to be a demand for services to validate the need for a job. And if everybody just got a job and there's no demand and no work to do, it'd be.
I know.
It's just welfare.
And then
welfare.
to go one step further, though, the vacancies are created by the growth of economy.
Good point.
Right?
Perfect.
The economy is growing fast, though. However, you're talking about kind of a sudden growth, explosive growth that
Well, right now,
stretches out
Yeah.
and leave that many vacancies, that many opens that can provide a job to everyone.
right now in America, particularly in the smaller businesses, not the big giant corporations, there's a lack of available potential employees with the skill set necessary to do the job that needs to be filled. So that's one of the biggest problems we have, because the economy is hot, it's on fire, it's growing, demand is growing, but yet we're not training our people in our education system in the right ways to fill many
That
of these jobs.
exactly creates the next concern.
Yes, sir.
Next concern is that in this future market, by the time he is elected, we're talking about one step further of the technology advancement.
Exactly. Right.
So for the future job positions, you have to have somebody who knows something more than I do. I know something, but I'm obsolete. I'm an old timer, right? So you have to have the technology. You have to have the skills. You have to have the skillment to be able to qualify for the job, though.
Right.
And then who provides the qualification all of a sudden?
Well, and then the other thing is
Is he talking about the I don't know, the socialist utopia?
It's a fantasy of socialism.
Fantasy
It's a
utopia
fantasy.
kind of thing,
Yeah, it is.
right?
Yes, it is. Yeah, we all see. And the other thing that's happening is, like, even if it's a person that sweeps well, or if anybody learns to do something well, they should do okay in America. But what's happening? Robots can sweep just as well, and farms can be run by machines.
In most cases, numbers speak the loudest.
Yes, sir.
Right now, if we put together our unemployment rate, though, we will get to numbers of how many are out of jobs, right?
Right now we're at full employment, basically. We're under 4%, about 4%, and the job numbers just came out a few days ago that were really wonderful.
Yeah, for that 4%, though, it can be converted into numbers of headcount. How many jobs are needed?
They do have, I can't quote those numbers, but yes, they do have regular reporting on how many jobs are being posted or being advertised that are job openings throughout America.
No.
And it's big.
You're talking about government jobs.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't
Once
think
again, you're limited to government jobs.
Well, for that, yes.
Our government is big already.
It's too big.
It's too big already.
When they retire, or God bless America if we could fire any of them, then just don't replace them, because there's so much fat in our government, and there's no great pressure, because it's so hard to fire these guys to be efficient. And so I mean, they have really documented. There's people that average 3 hours a day on a government job looking at pornography or something.
Fourthly, we're talking about, suppose everything is fills in the ballpark. Where does the money come from?
It's not there. That's exactly right.
You're talking about
more taxes, more taxes. We already have 50% of the people paying no taxes.
We're already taxed the bones.
We are.
Where are we going to tax people?
There's
right?
no
So
more.
unless they're talking about robbery,
There's no more.
they can come rob me.
You know,
right?
once you've paid your taxes, you know, I pay my 35%. I got 65 cents left. They want to come after that. That's my savings, okay? And that's what I use to live on.
No, not saving. That's your livelihood.
I know. Yeah,
because you're down to 65 already.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's your livelihood.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
But anyway, that's what's going to happen is I don't know why the Democratic Party, the moderates are just like you and I, moderate Republican,
that
moderate
has nothing
Democrat.
to do.
But I'm saying when they go
Let me correct you.
Yes, boss.
That has nothing to do with the Democratic Party. That is only Bernie Sanders is the socialist ideology. I call it another kind of utopia. thing.
Well, the top leadership on the Democratic Party is about 5 miles farther to the left than they were just 15 years ago.
I don't know. Anyway, I don't know.
They are so far left.
I'm unable to give comment that way, but I do know that Bernie Sanders' way will not work.
Well, and you know,
let alone the fact that he be elected.
And when Nancy Pelosi says if a person gets a bonus or they get a raise, it's just crumbs. It means nothing. That's a very evil statement.
Anyway.
It's so evil.
Okay,
it's
my dear
unbelievable.
friends, it's time to take another break. When we come back from this break, though, we'll put together and to give a summary about the past week. And of course, we have lots of better things or bigger things to expect for the coming week. So stay with us, please. Hello, dear friends. Welcome back to the show. Jack Chow on the East West with Jin ETV. Today we're talking about, once again, our weekly update with my good friend Ken Hemming. I love him a lot. He's CPA himself for life, and he has lots and lots of other areas where he wears a big hat. He has lots of hats, more than he could wear. One of them is the board members of the PCC Foundation, right?
I do that. And
right,
I'm an active boy.
Yeah, all right, good. And also you're on the Rose Parade thing.
Right.
Okay. And you're on many, many big stuff. And you're a Rotarian.
I'm a Rotarian for 40 years.
For 40 years.
I love it.
Good. Yeah. And the typical Republican, right?
I vote Republican primarily. I have voted for Democrats, but I will support whoever supports our Constitution the strongest.
Very good. And in the weekly review, I really want to say something that where this country is heading really makes some sense.
Yes, sir.
Because we're doing better, because Dow Jones are up, because our economy is up, because the unemployment rate is down.
Way down.
Because internationally we are gaining some momentums.
And respect again.
We have some respect. And internationally we have something squared out.
Yeah.
Right? At least the rocket guy learns to behave. At least he's ready to do something different, right? We bombed where we want to bomb. And somebody says they're going to shoot down our missiles.
Yes,
and none of them happened.
Correct.
The guy who vows to shoot down our missiles went home.
Went home.
Or went missing somewhere, somehow.
Right.
Well, we're getting some reputation back.
We are.
Right.
And strength is a part of it.
And in the European circle, we are re-justifying our orientation or position of NATO.
Yes, right.
And we probably will come back to TPP.
Good question.
Good question,
Right.
right? And altogether, like I said, we want to do a little summary. Slogan is only one thing, right? To see actually.
That's right. The
the
slogan is
thing-
just noise.
Yeah. To actually see the thing you're in front of your eye is the other.
It's exciting.
Now, about 2 months ago, just to give you an example, 2 months ago, with everything, Russians, the Syrians, the whatever, chemical,
North Korea?
chemical weapons in Syria, the government, the rebels, and everything, and the Russians all mixed.
Right.
Oh, by the way, I still these days reserve the right to reconsider, to reevaluate the definition of chemical weapon,
Okay.
of who applied it,
Okay.
who was the one behind it. However, chemical is a chemical.
Yes, sir.
The elements are the same, right? It
Okay.
kills, it kills. That's it.
That's right. If it kills, it kills. It is a chemical
Right.
weapon.
Whoever does it, well, it's a different story, but it kills, right? Okay,
Right.
now, we seem to put a stop to it with our missiles, which really speak loudly.
We've slowed
right?
it up, yes.
Okay, we slowed it up, and Russians are back up, right? And most importantly, Kim Jong-un
Yes.
is backing up.
We
He's
hope
ready
and-
to talk.
we
He's
hope
ready
so.
to talk. So all these together, do you think it indicates to you that the America is back on track?
Absolutely, we're back on track. The sad part of it, normally when you're on track, there's two tracks. One of our tracks is working. The other one is just not fully supporting the progress being made on this track. And I'd like us, look, think of what America could accomplish if we worked together with more love and commitment to the individual person rather than to an ideology.
I'm talking about the
That's-
still Qin He Liao. I'm still once again thinking about
He's a
Qin
hero
He
of
Liao,
mine. He's a
right?
hero of mine.
At this very moment, though, if everybody acts like Qin He Liao,
No problem.
to think about the United States of America as a country,
Right.
as one block,
Mm-hmm.
we belong to the one block, we belong to the one interest group. That is our big group.
And that's what
Right.
it should be. There can be differences in
Things
how
might
to
be
make
different.
life better for the average American. There can be differences in the path desired, but there should be the same interest in improving people's lives, and that's what we're missing right now.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Of course, we all understand our system of checks and balances. That's why we keep multi-parties,
Mm-hmm.
right? We have 2, we have 3. If you put all these other small parties, we have several parties.
Oh yeah,
They all function.
There are.
They all function as the element of checks and balance.
yes.
Right. Now, you're firing a missile. There's always a adjuster to go left to
Oh,
right, left to right,
absolutely.
left
Yeah.
to right thing. However, if the checks or balance goes front to confront you, it stops the missiles going. Right? So I'm talking about the checks difference between checks and balances versus resistance.
Yeah, you're
You see,
exactly
my
right.
you see my point?
Checks and balances is a positive scenario.
Uh-huh.
Resistance never accomplishes anything positive. It doesn't. Compromise and discussion, intellectual discussion, can accomplish anything. And that's what's so sad.
And the
This
word
resistance is so
the word
sad.
resistance didn't come from me myself.
No, no.
It was a word used by a friend of mine the other day over dinner when
Okay.
we were talking about American politics.
Yes.
They're talking about resistance from each other. Their true word was that resistance from each other.
Well,
You want to make an approach, I resist you, and vice versa, that kind of thing. How do you give your comment of the situation that, in my friend's words, describe it as a mutual resistance?
I don't think it's a mutual resistance. I think it's really all coming from the left. And like President Trump, his mind is always open. Show me something that works, I'll listen to it, okay? His mind is open. And he knows that he's got to, if you want to make a deal, you got to give, you got to take, you got to, like he is prepared to stand up at a meeting in North Korea if there's no hope. And he'll stand up and say, excuse me, I'm leaving. And we talked about that as a strategy a week
the other
ago.
day we were talking
Right.
about it, a week ago,
And,
yes.
and I do hope that doesn't happen, okay? I hope that doesn't happen. I don't want it to happen. I don't want people to end up dead over there, but I'd rather have them end up dead over there than dead over here. I have to say that.
All right, okay.
So, but and then we still don't know where they're going to hold that. Actually, President Trump today used a word rather shocking, where he said, so far it seems like the North Korean leader has been sincere and honorable. Well, he's never been sincere and honorable, so the use of that word will be in the media for quite a long time. But he's given them, he's given them some dignity, some respect. But maybe he doesn't deserve, hoping to get something
Make him
more
feel
back.
good. Make him feel good.
Right,
As a loser,
right.
they'll feel better.
That's right.
And therefore, even as a loser,
Right.
losing in a more dignified way. Something like that.
General Robert A. Lee, the Confederate general that surrendered to the North to end the Civil War, he was allowed complete dignity. He
exactly.
surrendered with dignity, and General Sherman saluted him in honor of his service. So
Exactly.
and dignity is a big word. Okay, dignity is a big word. I try to be
Now that
dignified.
you mentioned one thing about walking away from a table, right?
Yes, sir.
So I'm really worried about the fact that when it comes to a situation that Donald Trump has to walk away from the table, though, what would be next if he does walk out of the room, away from the table?
Well, the options are either North Korea, maybe in a couple of days or something, says, okay, let's get back and talk some more. We're not going to stick to that position we said we had. Or they go back and they shoot another missile, and then all heck will break loose.
And then, okay, now, just say the second option.
Yes,
For
sir.
example,
Right.
if they say, no more negotiation, and then they went back to their missile shootings, right? So are we back on our schedule number one, ready to attack?
Yes, but we
will.
will not attack preemptively. We will respond. If he, like we could shoot down their missile test. We could do that. That would probably be my guess.
We can shoot down the missiles. We can destroy the base.
And we could destroy the base.
We can destroy the base, or even the underground base.
Right. Well, we've got some big bombs that go real deep.
Yeah.
Real
The other day I
scary.
just learned it because our bombs can go
1,000 feet down or more.
many feet down
Right.
before explosion.
I know. Holy cow.
Traditionally, conventionally, you're talking about touch the ground
Yeah,
and
and
explode,
boom, boom.
right?
Yeah, right.
Go bomb. This thing goes,
Yeah. Like a
drills
screwdriver.
like a drill.
Right.
It goes in, drills in to the certain depth, and then explode. So we can do that.
But we have hope now, and a lot of this hope too is still dependent on China continually encouraging North Korea to that you can have your country, we just need to denuclearize it. And that would be North and South Korea.
China has not openly, at least they have not openly done anything to the public, say, hey, we're supporting North Korea. They haven't done that yet. If they,
I don't think they'll do that.
If they
Yeah,
did
yeah.
anything else, I don't know. Not of my knowledge. To my knowledge, they haven't done anything yet. From a humanitarian point of view, there might be some food given to the most suffering people or area. That's a different story. That's
It's
aid.
a different story, but the food doesn't get to the most needy. That's the
Or
problem.
could
because
be.
they're so, I know it could be.
Could be,
because
could be.
That's a nice dream, and I like your
yeah.
dream. Okay.
Could be.
And we have a visual confirmation. There's been Chinese ships unloading food in North Korea.
One thing we can confirm so far, the 105 missiles
Yes, sir.
that we bombed Syria with
Right.
had a good display about who we are.
Supposedly they all hit their target.
Right?
Yeah.
Like wake up call.
And we
right?
didn't do something massive, but like one of the commentators.
There's only a little bit.
A leftist comment, well, but a little bit. When you've got a big bomb that explodes right where you are, it's not little. You're dead. So there was a lot of damage done. So 105 really well-armed, strong missiles exploding at their target. Like a leftist commentator said, oh, it was just kind of like a pinprick. We didn't really do very much. If you're near that bomb, you did very much.
And by the way, we did have the ISIS taken care of.
Yeah.
We
have.
We almost handled every single one of them.
We are getting there.
The other one, I saw a video clip about actually a field shooting though. They kind of like a pinpoint, pan, one by one.
Yeah.
One by one.
The one thing I really don't know, because like Macron, the French president, wants us to keep some troops in Syria. President Trump, about 4,000 of them, wants to get them home. I'm not sure if you get them home, does it leave such a hole that terrorism can go back in real fast? I don't know. I don't have a position on that because I'm not knowledgeable enough. But do we take them home? Do we bring them home, or do we leave? In a way, I think we sort of need some boots on the ground just to know what the reality is.
It is quite impossible to keep that whole area trouble-free.
Impossible.
You have to bear some extent.
That's right.
Some kind of disasters happen on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
Yet, here's the deadline. I mean, the red line. The red line being that no more chemical weapons. If you enjoy fighting, conventionally, you guys shoot each other. Go ahead, do it.
Right? Yeah.
That kind of thing.
No, that'd be okay, yeah.
To that extent, I believe that it can be accepted by the vast majority of the world.
And one thing, when we're talking about the complexities over there, I failed to mention that also later, soon, in just a few days, Merkel of Germany is coming to visit America also. And she and Trump are not anywhere as close as Macron and Trump. And then her political career is sort of going down.
I like her better than Macron.
Well, she let in 800,000 Islam practicing people with only 80 million in the country has been wiped out economically by that foolish.
That's why I like her.
Because she let in 800,000?
She has the heart, she has the guts.
She's an idiot to do that.
No, I don't think so.
An absolute idiot.
We're over
Ask
time.
the thousands and thousands
we're over time to talk about
German women that have been raped, Jack.
We're out of time to talk about You're Idiot, my hero.
I hope she's not.
Okay, anyway, my dear audience, my lovely audiences, we thank you very much for watching. One more time for the weekly update. My dear friend Ken Hemming has done a good job so far. He's behaving a lot today.
Yeah.
Until the last moment. Well, anyway.
Until the last moment.
Right, until the last moment. I avoided talking, with an extended time, right? Anyway,
yes,
so we'll see you next week. How about that? All right? Good.
Thank you.
My dear audience, I love you. We love you all.